My name's Peter Kitson. Until recently, I was Professor of Romantic Literature and Culture in School of Literature, Drama and Creative Writing at the University of Anglia. And now I'm emeritus, so I'm still very much connected with the university. And I'm one of the people organising this conference with James and Gary and Victoria and also John Thelwall Society people who are here, who've been very, very generous. Just very, very briefly to talk a little bit about this symposium itself. John Thelwall is an extraordinary figure, Citizen John Thelwall, the most dangerous man in Britain. He was a poet, a dramatist, a historian, but also chiefly known as a political lecturer. He was what was known as, in the time, as a friend of freedom, or more pejoratively, an English Jacobin. He was somebody who believed in reform of Parliament. He was a Republican. He was a follower, I think, by and large, of the tenets and beliefs of and theories of Thomas Paine, a supporter of the rights of man. He was very interested in the reform of Parliament itself. And in the 1790s, the late 18th century, that was not necessarily a very unusual thing. In the poster, you can see him giving one of his lectures, and that's Copenhagen Fields in London, I think. And Citizen John there, a caricature by James Gilray, a kind of pejorative caricature. He was a great orator. He was a great public speaker, very, very interested in elocution and also pioneer in speech therapy. Anyway, when Britain declared war with France, the ideas of English reform became almost demonized. And Thelwall, who was a radical and a Republican, was persecuted. He was one of several people who were tried for high treason in 1794, but acquitted. He continued to tour the country, certainly Norfolk and also at his home in London, delivering these radical political lectures. And they were quite rumbustious affairs sometimes. And the forces of reaction were very keen to try and shut him down. Famously, he came to Norwich on many occasions, and the region on many occasions, 20-odd times, I think. But in 1796, he spoke in Norwich, and there was an occasion in a riot at the Shakespeare Tavern. We're not quite sure exactly where that was at the time. And later in 1790, a year later in 1797, sorry, it's the other way around. In 1796, he spoke at Great Yarmouth, and in 1797 he spoke at Norwich occasionally in that riot. But in 1796, he spoke, lectured in Great Yarmouth, and in that particular occasion, there was another riot when a press gang, Royal Naval press gang, was brought in to try and shut down his speech. That led to, and tried to kidnap him. That led to a series of legal affairs in which Thelwall complained about what had happened. And very recently, I think in 2023, the John Thelwall Society acquired manuscripts relating to that particular event in 1796 in Great Yarmouth, a series of papers, legal affidavits, witness statements, and so on, relating to the disturbance at Thelwall's lectures. And those papers are the ones which are on display. They were acquired by the John Thelwall Society and generously donated, because the Thelwall Society does not have an archive as such, so it donates to material of that kind to local archives for scholars and historians to use. And so this symposium is meant to celebrate and mark that donation, the moment of that donation, and to remember the extraordinary contribution of John Thelwall, and also the extraordinary history of 18th century Norfolk, a city of with strong radical, revolutionary, dissenting elements. And yeah, I think I've said enough there to introduce Citizen John, the most dangerous man in Britain, and to get a sense of, what it meant for Thelwall to be here in the 1790s in Norfolk, talking to people at the time when Britain is at war with France about radical ideas and so on.